What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing the Giants 7-round mock draft. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Below my face is my board. It is backed up by my all-22 conclusions that you can see clips of over in all-22 over on X for absolutely free. While you're doing that, go through that link tree. It makes it super easy. And again, if you want to support the show, the best way to do it would be to go and use that code HAILMARY when you go to UnderDog Fantasy. If you want to give me $10, just put it towards yourself on UnderDog Fantasy. You get up to 1,000 in bonus cash as well on your first deposit, and they send me $60. Then you can end up potentially making some money. Worst case scenario, you lose the 10 you would have sent to me anyway. But play legally, play responsibly. Let's get into this. I tried to finesse the system and try to start out with this is gonna be a live mock draft, by the way, but tried to start out with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders on the board. And it so far has not happened. So we're going to see if we get lucky here. But we're going to start out. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. And this is potentially realistic, right? Stefanski's on the hot seat. Cam Ward is the quarterbacky kind of guy for the #1 overall pick. So we got absolutely shellacked here. And you know what? That's not a bad thing, because we're going to actually have our lads pulled up here, and we're going to be able to test out a lot of different theories. Well, technically not. We're doing one theory. We're going to be doing this also post-combine / post-free agency as well. Let me know what content creators you want to do this with, because I want to be able to bring somebody on for the next one. This is just going to be more my foray into being able to draft for you guys in this aspect. But we're going to be continuously revisiting our lads, so get comfortable with it. We're going to be hanging out, but boundary corner is going to be super duper key. And technically, Travis Hunter is not as high as Will Johnson to me, but we all know Travis Hunter is going to be taken. I blend some form of realism in here, and this is Trev's board, so it's not 100% realistic, but I do really like the Giants, and I don't do trades. I will say, if we can't get a quarterback here, we are sending a pick for Joe Milton. I think that's totally valid. And you guys talked with the Patriots last year for trying to trade up. I do think if this is what happens, you end up sending in pick 133 for him. And people are not going to like this, right? Y'all are not going to like this. Maybe we could end up getting pick 218 in return, just so I give you guys the same amount of picks. But I honestly think this is a pretty solid move here by both franchises. I think Joe Milton's fantastic, to be fair. You guys know me. I was a big sucker for him, but there you go. You get your quarterback in as well. But Travis Hunter is going to be the pick. He's going to the combine as a corner. You need a boundary corner, again, going to our lads here. Deonte Banks, fortunately not a true #1. Cordell Flott, we both know, is not a #1. And then, again, the depth is just not good. You need corner. And so as much as I would love to go Abdul Carter here, we're going to go after Travis Hunter. And I'm just so curious. Where did Abdul go? He slipped to 7. Pete Carroll would literally end up going, Las Vegas would send all of the mobs and all of the gangs to go execute Pete Carroll on the spot if he passed on Abdul for Malachi Starks. So it's the only issue with PFF's mock draft simulator, but I think Trev's board is so much closer than pretty much anybody else's in terms of the 7-round sims right now. Hence why I'm following it as consistently as I'm doing. But regardless, let's go check out the Giants roster. We got some shoes. I don't think I need any. I have enough shoes, if I'm going to be real. But on the interior of the offensive line, Illuminor, I believe, is going to be up for a contract next year. So you could try to look to develop somebody there. I do think Evan Neal should be traded away. I'm not going to be doing any more trades outside of the Joe Milton thing, right? So I do think interior offensive line, though, not a bad move. We already got our quarterback. We will get some more competition for him 100%. I do know, unfortunately, how this board now falls. I also think a boundary #1 receiver should absolutely be on the table. You could look at some running back depth, but I really like Tracy, Singleton, and Gray, or Singletary, and Gray behind each other. Could look at some extra juice, but, maybe safety. But I'm going to be honest. When I'm looking right now and I see Gray Zabel here, and I could have him be an absolute savage on the interior of the offensive line, I know that Tyler Booker is better, but, well, actually, that's a lie. Tyler Booker is viewed as better. I actually have Gray Zabel higher on my board. I think Gray Zabel is fantastic, and you have a great offensive line coach as well. I think the best move would be go that way. I took Donovan Jackson in my last mock draft. I do my best to keep things fresh and different. So again, keep that in mind as well. I'm not going to, personally make players like continue to take the same guys. So I'm going to skip out on Donovan Jackson this time and go after Gray Zabel to reinforce the interior of the offensive line. That dude had a phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal, Senior Bowl. 65 for the Giants. I could take Trapilo here. I took him with the Titans. Again, I want to keep things a little bit fresh, a little bit new. The running backs, of course, are slipping. It is what it is. But for me right now, I'm honestly looking at a couple positions. You could look at another corner here. You got Max Hairston that you could pair back up with Drew Phillips. That'd be super duper fun. I also could be looking at the quarterbacks here. 103, I'm just going to be real. Jackson Dart's going to be there. I feel like, you could bring that competition in. Kyle McCord at 154, absolutely as well. So, again, I feel comfortable with that. And I don't think it's too out of left field for that to be possible. Belton is such a savage. I love Anthony Belton, man. I mean, low-key, I probably should have went Anthony Belton for y'all. But regardless of that, that's why we have the next mock draft to be able to do it in. But looking at, the best player that is available, I think Jalen Royals is fantastic. I mean, he is a really, really good receiver. He's moved up. He's not moved up my board. He dropped a little bit post-injury, but still someone who I think is really solid. Ricky White, very underrated. It's a weird spot to be in, if I'm just going to be completely frank. We could look at safeties here as well. We got Nicky Minwari, which I think out of realism, he shouldn't be here, but there's always that chance. Looking at the safety core, you're not going to use him. Well, you could use him as a free safety, honestly. He's been all over the field. I mean, let's take a peek at Nicky Minwari here, which, again, I think it's BS that he's down this far. It is what it is. But look at this. He's been in the box as a strong. He's been deep as a free. He's been in the slot. Hell, he's taking 20 reps a year on the defensive line. He took one rep. He took one of those reps from last year and put it at corner. But regardless, this guy is super flexible, super versatile. And you pair him up with Nubin, this guy will fly in the 4.3s as well. So it covers up for Nubin's lack of athleticism overall. We're going to be taking Nick Minwari right there. And we all know your DC ends up actually liking those type of players too. But regardless, at 103, this is where we're going to take some quarterback competition. We're going to go after Jackson Dart here. A lot of people love him. I mean, I'm still getting there. I thought he looked pretty solid at the Senior Bowl week practices. I did not actually end up watching in all 22 his reps of the game, but I do think that, the sentiment out there is people think these guys are first round picks. It's bullshit between him and Milroe. I'm going to be taking him here at 103 though, because I think Milton as well as Dart create a really nice 1-2 punch. Again, if you guys did miss out on it, what pick was that? 133, I believe. This pick right here was traded for Joe Milton. We did end up getting, I believe, 218 in return. But regardless, we now have a couple quarterbacks on roster, which is great. And we have Jackson Dart, we have Joe Milton, we have Nicky Minwari, we got Gray Zabel, and we got Travis Hunter. Looking at wide receivers, I could totally go Juice Wells here and get some extra after the catch ability. The guy who I'm looking at pretty heavily here is Ricky White. And Ricky White is going to not be loved by many, but honestly, I ended up going back to the tape, and the dude's awesome. First off, I mean, maybe not to the level which I loved him before, and I haven't reshifted it, but Ricky White was previously 60. He now has a 70.25 grade, so he's going to be down here at 90 to 91 on my board, which that is, again, post. This is an updated grade. So I'm going to go after Ricky White. He has 4 pump blocks on the year as well. I think that's something worth mentioning. Ricky White is a fantastic player, 6'1", 190, and he's a really good route runner. He does have some flashes of mini Marvin Harrison to him, but the emphasis is on the mini, not the Marvin Harrison, unfortunately. At number 218 for the Giants, I'm looking at Dante Thornton as well, because I do think our receiving core needs extra juice to it. Darius Slayton's gone. Of course, that's why we just ended up getting Ricky White. But even with Amir Smith-Marset, Gunnar Olszewski going down, not going down, but, you need some extra goodies in here. Bryce Ford Wheaton, in my opinion, is not necessarily a true backup number one. Jalen Hyatt, unfortunately, has been extremely, extremely unproductive. But with a quarterback with the arm and now also the experience, I think Dante Thornton played with Joe Milton. He did play with him last year as well. You might as well get him. With now the new range that you have, I think it's worth it. Let's go Dante Thornton here. And now we have kind of recomped the whole entire wide receiver core. I really like how that is. The receiving core and the quarterback room have been recomped. At this pick, 220, I'm going to go after a player who's extremely flexible, super high IQ, and he can play on the boundary, even though he is 5'10". He's very similar to Andrew Phillips, but kind of almost inversely in terms of being more of a zone guy. I'm looking at Mac McWilliams right here, and I think that he's a super stud. He's my number 40 player on my board, so I'm going to give you guys the blessing of taking him late, but he's there at 40 right now. At number 47, we got the New York Giants. Of course, we got the New York Giants, but again, quick recap. I think we need to invest maybe a little bit more in the offensive line if the value is there. I really like Carson Vincent as a developmental left tackle, especially with the stress that we've had with Andrew Thomas's injury history. He actually had some really good reps in Senior Bowl one-on-ones. Johnny Walker's another name I'd love to bring into the equation. He did really well at the Shrine Bowl as well. Can't really go wrong. So honestly, between those two, feel free to let me know which you would have taken. We're going to go Carson Vincent, tackle out of Alabama A&M there. And yeah, I mean, I don't understand how the hell you could say Nick Emmanwori at 65, who's going in the first, would be a C- grade, but that's PFF for you. But regardless, you got, we addressed that top tier corner position with Hunter, as well as some good depth there with Mac McWilliams. Granted, he's my number 40 player of the class. You got Gray Zabel here to address that guard position, also tackle versatility. Of course, got some extra defensive back help here with Nick Emmanwori. I do think he can play free, played over 150 snaps there. You got quarterback competition with Jackson Dart and Joe Milton. And that's going to be really good because you have Dante Thornton, who needs a playmaking QB, which Jackson Dart and Joe Milton both are. Ricky White as well as Dante Thornton are reinforcing the receiving core, but Ricky White especially for special teams, 4 punt blocks this past year. And then you got, of course, talked about Mac McWilliams, and then Carson Vincent to develop as that top-tier tackle for the long run. So that is going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. See you on the far side. Peace.